Howdy, John Boy the U.S. Piper with you. This is my new to me estate. It's a Church Denmark made pipe, Church Hillian. I think it's a shape 299 if I remember right. I may or may not have uploaded something on it yet, but just got it today. Breaking her in. Had a little bit of Best Brown Flake in it earlier. And pipe cleanered it out real good and let it sit for a while. And now I'm chooching some Haunted Bookshop. I got it already nicely restored and cleaned up and reamed and ready to go. So a little bit of they'd done a salt alcohol treatment on it, but a little bit of a remnant. I believe that it was an aromatic smoker's pipe, but it's not bad, but so I thought I'd switch to some Haunted Bookshop, see if we can't get this thing broken in. Since he's got it pretty much down to the wood and very nicely cleaned up. We'll see if we can't evict that evil aromatic mojo with a little bit of burley and perique magic. Pretty pipe though, really nice grain. $20. Can't believe I won it. I had lost bids on a couple of them and finally won one. So yay! Got here really quick. Auction closed Saturday afternoon. It's Wednesday afternoon, and I'm smoking it. I don't do a whole lot of auctions. I usually do buy it nows, because I just don't like to mess about too much. But I really liked this one, and it was right at closing when I found it, because I just lost another auction. So I looked at the wife. The wife said, go ahead and bid. So I did, and I'm glad I did, because I won. So I thought I'd do a VR for Tamper Tantrum's 300 GAW. I feel like the GAW fairies have already visited me for the year probably, but I still think it's more fun when lots of people enter. So I've been sitting here trying to think, man, my favorite movie. That is a tall order, my friend. Just subbed you, by the way. I didn't have you, and I've heard your name a million times. Another one I've overlooked because I suck. I'm sorry, but I got you now. So now I got a whole bunch of cool videos to go find out, because I hear you grow your own tobacco and do all kinds of cool stuff like that. So I'm going to have to check that out. I believe this is going to be a much loved pipe in the collection. I've never had a Canadian before. So anytime you can get a piece of briar that pretty in a shape you don't have that you like for that kind of money, it may be new to me, but I'm a happy camper. I'd about rather have an estate pipe anyway. I just feel like if it's in good shape, you've got some really nice aged briar, a little bit of history. I don't really know the history of this particular pipe, but I have several that have a little bit of history to them, and that just makes it more special. So, back to the topic at hand. My favorite movie. I'm kind of like you. I've watched a lot of movies. So I don't even know if I could pick one per genre, but just to pick something that I really like, I feel it should be something I have a deep emotional attachment to, and for me, that moves me to Christmas movies. There aren't a whole lot of movies I have to see every year, no matter what. I'm gonna watch Pulp Fiction sometime during the year, but I don't want to pick that one because everybody watches Pulp Fiction, I feel like. And if you don't, you should. MFers? No. The movie. Have you watched it? I love Samuel Jackson. I feel like part of my inner dialogue is Samuel L. Jackson. I don't know how that happened. I'm sure he's concerned about it too, but yeah, there's that. Although when I get really mad, that's the only time I really, really start sounding like a Yankee. Like, I sound like Joe Pesci when I get really, really mad. It's just like the fact that I grew up on the Jersey Shore just... I mean, my family's not even from there, but it comes out. I don't know how. I'm not even Italian, but it's there. It's programmed in somehow. Had a lot of Italian friends, I guess. But Lord knows I've eaten a lot of Italian food. But I digress. This is already getting long. So I think that if we go Christmas movie, for me, it's got to be A Christmas Story. Bumpuses! I won. It's just a movie I could quote every part of, along with Pulp Fiction. And it's not Christmas until I've watched it, or at least watched part or parts of it repeatedly. I think for my wife, that movie is probably Elf, which I will watch with her because it's her movie. But yeah, there's like 2 scenes I really ever want to see again in that movie. But I watch it because she loves it, and she suffers through A Christmas Story with me, and will continue to do so for the foreseeable future. So, but I don't know what it is about that movie. It's one of those movies that sets the feel for a time very well, and I enjoy that about it. And I think the time that it sets is a time where, I don't know, it just feels right for Christmas, if that makes any sense. Now, the TV, I don't watch a lot of TV, but I watch a lot of TV shows. I don't even have cable. But we watch a lot of stuff on DVD and digitally. We own many of the series that we like to watch, stuff like Big Bang Theory and different ones. I thought about it, and again, something that's been there for you for years and years and years that you still watch, that you've seen every episode of, and you will see every episode of again, multiple times in your life. I think that's kind of got to be the criteria for your favorite series. So, mine, I'm going way back, but it's going to be MASH. I'm not entirely sure why, but a lot of days, I had a job for about 14 years and change that towards the end of I was very much ready to be done with. And I loved it there, but I also really was ready to be not there anymore. But I had to kind of suffer through the last few years till I could get to the point that I could do something else. And I really needed to. And no matter how bad things got, I could come home and I could put MASH on, and it was oddly comforting. I don't know if it was because there's death and chaos and all this horrible stuff going on, and yet there's humor and there's good times and there's jokes and there's, one-liners, and there's people finding a way to enjoy and embrace life and happiness even in the midst of complete turmoil and chaos. And so maybe that resonated with me a little bit, but it's always been like that for me. I think my dad watched it a lot. We watched it a lot around the house growing up. And partially, I think it's because my inner smartass dialogue, voice, what have you, is kind of between Alan Alda's character in that series, Bugs Bunny, and I don't know, Woody Woodpecker? I don't know, probably another cartoon. But somewhere between Alan Alda, Hawkeye, and Bugs Bunny is probably my inner smart aleck dialogue that is running at all times. Beside that other voice that's like, what's the least appropriate thing you could possibly say? What's the most inappropriate thing you could say? Okay, now, let's see if the filter's running. Good, it's not. But hopefully the filter catches most of those. But even if I have no intention of saying it, for some reason it always occurs to me, what would be the worst response right now? But and somewhere in that weird mixture of oddity is where I find the humor in most situations, and I think you have to. I think it's not so much that, there's definitely a little bit of an agenda attached to the show that I'm not necessarily in total resonance with, but I think it's that beyond that, the writing is really good, and it's a show that embraces humanity in the midst of inhumanity, and embraces the good stuff in the midst of the noise of horrible stuff going on around you, to let you know that that's how you win in the middle of crazy crap you have no control over. You control how you are in it. If you can control your outlook and your heart, then you're going to be okay. And there's been a lot of times in my life where I feel like my humor is what's gotten me through those times, and done it laughing my butt off most of the time, whether I was having a good time all of it or not. Sometimes you have to embrace the suck, and sometimes you just got to laugh at it, because it's not going to be that way forever. Whatever the situation is, we all go through rough patches. But at least I'm not getting bombed in, Korea. So there's that. Yay. Really enjoying this pipe. And the Haunted Bookshop. So this is definitely longer than a VR should be. But I'm also just chilling, enjoying a pipe. And I guess it's a bit of an introduction. I love that Carter Hall is in your GAW, by the way. That makes me think when I do my GAW, 100 is really sneaking up on me, and I feel like I don't have enough of a cellar to just pull a rabbit out of the hat, so I think I'm going to probably wait and do a 200, because I want to do a really nice GAW. But I think I have to have Carter Hall in it, because why would somebody not need Carter Hall? I always have a jar of it because it's Carter Hall, man. It was the first thing I ever smoked that I got to burn right in a pipe. So I'm always going to have some of that around. But, yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what I've said for 13 minutes worth other than, I like MASH, and if I had to... I don't know. There were so many that were close, but I feel like you have to distill it down to something that has been there in your life a lot and is probably not going anywhere. So that's kind of how I arrived at those two choices. There are so many movies I love and so many series that I do love that I think the writing is funny at, and most of the shows I like. I do watch some of the darker stuff too, but mostly I like shows with humor. That embrace that way of looking at situations in life, because I think that's kind of the outlook you have to have, man. People are freaking weird. I know I'm a little out there, which means I'm normal. Believe me. I've been in retail environments for over 25 years up to now. Arguably, I still am. But and I've been around and taking part here and there in ministry work to some degree or another for several years now. I'm not a minister per se, but my wife and I are both kind of in that camp of things. And the more that you see people. And you're a problem solver when you're in retail, especially if you're in management. That's largely what being in any type of a managerial position is dealing with problems, trying to solve them. And sometimes that means realizing that the problem is not necessarily the problem that they're having, that you're in a position to do something in your job. Sometimes there's a bigger problem. Sometimes you have to be able to read the people in the situation and take it apart and look at what's ticking there and say, well, they're saying that their problem is this, but they're really obviously dealing with something bigger that's led to this, or they feel this way or that way about something. And a lot of times just finding a way to understand what put them in conflict with you helps you find a peaceful resolution. Because, apparently you're not supposed to throat punch people. It's frowned on both in retail and ministry. There are times it would seem a quicker means to an end, but it's frowned on. We shouldn't handle people that way. And usually there's a better way to handle people. Usually. So, and humor goes a long way. So I think that's a running theme through both of those things that I enjoy. And I don't know. I don't know if there's any value in that ramble or not, but I'm sure enjoying some haunted bookshop and a really pretty pipe with some really pretty grain. Look at the grain. Oh man, I really feel like I got blessed with that one. I really dug your pipe, by the way. The 100-year-old one. I love pipes with history like that. You could just tell that's a good old pipe. I kind of have to steal this from NW Pipe Smoker, but where he'll look at. He had a video where he's talking about one of his estates, and he's just kind of looking at it, thinking, think about the problems that have been solved over that pipe. Or somebody just needed to sit down and relax and chill out and have a pipe and contemplate something in their life. And when you have an estate that's been one or two people's, one of their, even if it wasn't their main pipe, it was a pipe in their rotation. And there's no telling what that pipe got them through. There is a weird, almost metaphysical aspect to pipe smoking, in my opinion. No, there's nothing funny in this one. It's haunted bookshop. But, I think we all understand what I'm talking about. It's just, it kind of helps get you into that introspective. You're detached from it enough and relaxed from the situation enough that you can chill out for long enough and not think about anything, and then come back to it and revisit it with fresh eyes and just say, well, here's what it is. And my options are probably A, B, or C. C is the throat punch, so we're probably not going to go that one, go that way. So does A or B make more sense? Which one is a better choice? Which one makes everyone the happiest? Which one do I feel like I probably should do? Which one do I want to do? And sometimes there's more options than that. And sometimes you don't have an answer. You just have to come to peace with the fact that, man, I don't have an answer for this problem, but I know it's going to be okay. I don't see the way it's going to resolve right now. But it's okay. I'm going to chill out and smoke this pipe. Blow a little smoke. And it'll be okay. If I don't have the answer today, maybe it'll arrive tomorrow. But, I've had problems before. We've always, the solution has always presented itself. That's when I really get... The thing that I think I enjoy the most of helping somebody realize is that somebody that just feels completely lost in a problem or a situation, and realizing, man, we're all that way some part of the time. You're not alone. Nobody has it all figured out. And that's okay. You know, we can help each other. We'll get through the hard times. And we'll enjoy the good times. And sometimes we'll even enjoy the bad times. Because, hey, at the end of the day, we're kind of in control of our own happiness to a great deal. To a great extent. That's the way it is. And when you start looking at the bigger picture, the things that really matter, you know, you get into that headspace of thankfulness and realizing that this problem is a problem, and either I do or I don't have a solution to it, but there's a lot of good stuff. And the good stuff is definitely outweighing the bad stuff. So I think pipe smoking helps people arrive there. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's something we all obviously share an affinity and love of. So there you go. That's a really long VR. So if you didn't make it to the end of it, I completely understand. It's just the way my train runs. There's off-ramps, there's roundabouts. We don't know where we're ending up. We'll get to the station eventually. You know what I'm saying? Forget about it. But I think a lot of people deal with anxiety on a regular basis. And that's just one of those things, you know, I've been in enough situations in life where I've realized it's not a productive use of my time. For me, part of what my faith is not just religiosity. I'm not just going to religion for you, but part of my faith in general is that, you know, I'm not willing to dwell on the negative aspects of life. They may be right there, you know, but I don't have to live there, you know. I don't have to stay bogged down in that crap. And I think there's people that, for whatever reason, haven't acquired the skill set to do that in their life, and they suffer from that. And I think we all do at different times of our lives, but I think by the time you're old enough to have a mostly gray beard, you've kind of figured out, don't sweat the small stuff. And it's mostly small stuff. So none of this has anything to do with the VR, so I have no idea why I'm still talking. Other than I just feel like that's something, you know, a lot of people could probably draw some value from. And if that's you or somebody you know, then, you know, my thoughts and prayers are with you. But, you know, that's how it is. That's how it is. It's mostly small stuff. Most of the world would give anything to be in our shoes, even if our shoes are walking through some crap at the moment. So wherever you find your shoes this week, I hope you all have a blessed and wonderful week, and enjoy the little things, even if they're in a storm. The U.S. Piper out.